Hi guys, it's Mr. Tanner here, coming to you from the Classic Shed, ready to bring you another lesson on the ancient world.
Civilizations in the ancient world generally have what are known as foundation myths. These are stories which explain how a city started or how it got its name. We'll look at Romulus and his brother Remus in another video, but today we're going to talk about Athena, the heroine of one such foundation myth, namely the city of Athens. Obviously. It's worth noting that the city is named after her and not the other way round. Our story is set in the mythic past, a time where history meets story and mythical beasts roam the earth. So, grab a pen and some paper and make some notes about the key events of our story. As with all good stories, it begins with once upon a time, a long, long time ago. King Cecrops set out to find a patron deity for his new city-state, which is already doing pretty well for itself. Early hints that this might be a myth rather than a historical fact emerge when I tell you that Cecrops was half man and half snake. I'll let you decide which way round. Cecrops invited all the gods and goddesses of the Greek pantheon to come and be the patron deity. Both Athena and Poseidon were interested in the opportunity, and they started to bicker over who would take over protection of this beautiful city. Their rivalry was so intense that they almost went to war, and just as they were about to attack each other, Athena, with her typical wise approach, suggested that they should hold a contest for the city. Athena wasn't interested in a show of strength. She'd much rather rely on her wisdom and cunning to outwit her uncle. She suggested that whoever presented the city with the best gift would be rewarded with the city itself as the grand prize. King Cecrops, guided by the citizens, would be the judge. Poseidon, perhaps foolishly, agreed. So, the next day, a huge crowd of people, with King Cecrops at its head, went up to the Acropolis, a huge hill in the middle of the city. The two deities descended from Olympus to present their gifts before the awestruck city folk. Poseidon was to go first, and he lifted his massive trident, his three-pronged fish fork, and struck the earth with it. At the point where it struck, a frothy spring burst out, producing a waterfall, which ultimately flowed into a sea. The people loved it and rushed to taste the water, but, to their dismay, the water was salty. As Poseidon was lord of the sea, this was perhaps not wholly surprising. When it was Athena's turn, her act was far less dramatic. She struck the earth too, using her spear. Don't forget she always wears a helmet and carries weapons as a goddess of battle strategy, but she was only making a hole. She then quietly knelt and buried something in the ground. People watched closely, wondering what on earth was occurring. They were just beginning to get restless when something burst out of the ground. But it wasn't water, salty or otherwise. It was, in fact, a magical olive tree, growing thousands of times faster than a tree ordinarily would. The citizens were delighted. But why? Well, olive trees are tremendously useful. You can use the olives for food and for oil, which is not only good for cooking, but it can also be used to burn in lamps, and it can be used for cleaning. You can use the wood from the trees to build furniture and houses and even boats. The navy of this city was to become the greatest on earth. Clearly, Athena's gift was deemed by far the better by the citizens, and Cecrops gladly declared her the winner. She would become the patron goddess of Athens. The Greek word for city is polis, giving us words like politician and polite. Throughout the Greek world, she was worshipped as Athena Polias, Athena of the city. As an epilogue, let me just mention that Poseidon, as you might expect, was not at all pleased by all of this. In a wild fury, he flooded the Thriacian plain and drowned it under his salty sea until Zeus stepped in and told him to calm down.
I hope that was helpful to you. See you later.